Number 41, Randy the Rutabaga and the Wayback Machine. Written by Bepa. Illustrated by Bepa. I was in my office trying to think up the next story of Randy the Rutabaga when the phone rang. Hello, Bepa speaking. Bepa, this is Randy. You gotta come over right away. I can't talk about it on the phone, but this is the biggest thing since they invented color TV. Okay, Randy, I'll be right over. Bepa jumped into his helicopter and flew right over to Randy's. When Bepa landed, Randy was right there to lead Bepa to the entrance that Bepa had never seen before. Randy whispered, "No talking." Bepa was getting a little concerned. Randy had never acted this way before, and he had never shown Bepa the secret entrance. Randy kept going, and Bepa followed, afraid that if he lost sight of Randy, he would be lost. All of a sudden, it started to become brighter. Then Bepa saw it. Ooh. It was a giant room with strange things all about. Bepa wanted to stop and stare, but Randy kept going into what Bepa figured out to be some kind of workshop. Randy stopped and said to Bepa, "It's safe to talk now. I'm sure you have a lot of questions, but first let me tell you what's going on." Well, Bepa found a place to sit, and Randy started to tell him of things so strange and impossible that Bepa could not believe it. Then Randy told Bepa what he discovered and how it came about, and that made even Bepa jump with excitement. Randy started. "As you know, Bepa, I'm a scientist at heart. I've studied all the greats, but my favorite is Albert Einstein. Einstein wrote many books and papers on just about everything, but the one topic that always interested me was time travel. Time travel, Einstein's universe. Now, Bepa, I know what you're thinking. Oh, Back to the Future. Back to the Future 2. Back to the Future 3. No, Bepa, I didn't turn a car into a time travel machine like in the movies. But I have been studying the principles that Einstein wrote about down here in my lab. Then last week, while I was doing some experiments, I thought I had fallen asleep. Time travel was in my dreams. Time travel was what my dream was all about, or so I thought. Is time travel possible? Well, after I woke up, I had a strange urge to look around the lab for something. The strange thing about it was I didn't know what I was looking for, but I knew it was here, and then I found it. How to Build a Time Machine, The Real Science of Time Travel, by Randy the Rutabaga. I found a book written by me 50 years in the future from now on how to build a time machine. I found it over here under the bench. What is even more unbelievable is the principle behind this device is based on a cartoon that you watched when you were a kid, Bepa. I could not believe it myself, but in my book, it points to a cartoon called Mr. Sherman and Mr. Peabody and the Wayback Machine. And so I read my book that I wrote 50 years from now and came up with my own Wayback Machine, just like in the cartoon. Sherman, I've set the Wayback Machine to the year 2014. And this is what Randy's laboratory looks like now. And now that you're here, I will show you how it works. Well, Bepa was surprised, stunned, and a little afraid all at the same time. Could this really be possible? Randy set the Wayback Machine to 13 April 2012. got into the travel device and whoosh, we started to travel back in time. April 2012. Whoa! Bepa could not believe it. Addison, the day she was born. That's her. Could we review back at 2012? Randy adjusted some instruments and we were back in his lab. What do you think, Bepa? I can't believe it. Can we try it again? This time we set the time to 30 April 2014. And just as before, we were whisked back in time. And then Callie appeared on the screen the day she was born. Oh my. Bepa just couldn't believe it, but he just saw it with his own eyes. Randy adjusted the instruments once again, and they were back in the laboratory. Well, Bepa, what do you think? Well, just to make sure, can we see the day Kennedy was born? Asked Bepa. We put in the new date, 24 June 2014. And whoosh. And just like before with the other rutababies, the Wayback Machine brought us back to the time and date when Kennedy was born. Kennedy was just born. That's her. That's Uncle Brian. There's Jennifer. As Randy set the controls to return to his lab, Bepa just couldn't believe what it just witnessed. With Randy's Wayback Machine, he had been able to go back in time and witness history being made. Bepa's mind was filling up quickly with possible new adventures. Where in time would Bepa and Randy go next? Well, that will be the next adventure. The end.